All right, listen. You're not bad at making user interfaces. You're just missing this one thing, and it's so simple. It's almost done. And if this doesn't fix your layout, then maybe you're actually bad at user interfaces. Mastering this one thing will take your interfaces from this to this. But wait, hold on. Who am I to tell you how to design layouts? Well, I'm Meshach. I'm a front-end developer who created a layout every day for a year. Now I teach developers how to design better user interfaces without losing their minds. Today, I'm going to show you one rule that once you get it, will instantly skyrocket your UI skills. Let's go. Don't worry. I won't make you wait to the end of the video before I tell you what it is. Even though I should, because yeah, you're not paying me. Alright, I'll tell you. The rule is simple. Consistency. Your UIs look and feel off because things don't match. Now, there are just five components that make and break your layouts. And those are typography, composition, color, movement, and details. Details such as spacing, alignment, and sizes. Now, if you don't know what some of these terms are relating to design, then I suggest you stick around. All right, enough talk. Let's get hands on with those components. Now, let's take a look at these two layouts. Both layouts essentially share the same elements, components, yet somehow one of the layouts looks like something one of you designed, and the other looks more like something I would design. All right, so the less important, but the difference we'll be talking about today is how the inconsistency in components affects each layout. Now, the components being typography, composition, and the rest. So let's start with typography first. I could go ahead to tell you how bad typography affects user experience and the rest of that, but I just really want to help developers learn to design things that look good, just just for the fact that it looks good, right? Now, this font here isn't really going with the vibe of the layout. If that makes sense to you. It just stands out and not in a good way. And when typically when you are combining fonts in design, you want to go with a serif and a sans serif font, never the same font of the same family or the same type, right? So see what happens when I go ahead to select this and change the font to what we already had on Twitter, I think. Yeah. Now we have this, and I have to go here and adjust the line height. Let's go trim. Now here's what we have. It's not there yet, but it's looking better than what we had before. I have other things to worry about. Now let's go to composition. And we're talking about composition of the layouts, typically when we have what did I just speak? Well, when we have an element like this sitting at the bottom of the hero section, it's you just want to always align it to the center. And when it's aligned to the center like this, you the rest of the elements on the page, it's assumed, like it's expected that they all align are all aligned centered and they look better that way. Now this is looking funky. Things are not speaking to each other. This is here aligned to the left, and then we have this here centered. Everything is in misalignment. So let's see what happens when we'll grab this and make it align to the center and go to the second frame, do the same thing. Also take the texts and make sure they're aligned. Pull this, hit alternate H to align horizontally, and we have this. Now it's looking better than what we had, but it's not there yet. Thinking about the composition, we have this space here and this space here being like it's a weird spacing. They're not exactly the same, but then they're not. The space isn't looking great. Now, when we use spacing, we have to consider like the hierarchy and how we want things to appear. Now, this here sits almost in the middle. It's not really in the middle. We don't know if it belongs more with this or with this. Now, to ensure that the user is clear on that and really that that the composition makes sense. Reduce the spacing between that, have 15 over there, and then maybe go here. I think that looks good, but I'll move it down a bit more. Then we have this, maybe take that to 20. Right. Now that looks better. That looks better. I think the 15 looks better than this. Yeah. Right? So we have this. And now this is sticking out because it's just on its own. It's just an island on its own, really with no help whatsoever. So what when we hit alternate H to center it, and then we have this looking better, but not there yet. Now we have this spacing up here and the spacing here looking almost the same. Now when you want to create interest in layouts in design, you create interest by like playing with the spacing between elements. Unless they have to be the same, you never want to have like things sitting in the center like this, and it's not that interesting. See what happens when we move this all the way down a bit to create more space up there, and layout begins to look a bit better. And the same thing happens when you like move it up a bit. It's like the same, but when it sits right dead in the center, it's just like it's just there, right? So let's move it down a bit, have it there. And this is looking good. This is looking good, but not all the way there. So next component we're talking about movement. Now I didn't really like have anything moving around, no motion or any graphics to kind of create a sense of movement or the text pushed to either direction. So we'll skip that for this video. And then we have details. Now, did we skip on color? Yeah, we did skip on color, yeah. So let's talk about color before we move to details. Uh, Now this looks flat. Yeah, it looks flat. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it per se, but it could be better. Now, see what happens when we add a bit of glow. And then, even if you wanted to make it a bit more better, you add something that like reflects the lights in the background and have this. And it's looking good. That's what that's what color does. That's the role it plays. Can't speak well today. Can never speak when I'm on camera. And we have the details. Yeah, right. Now, some of you may have noticed, but I know most of you think this isn't exactly aligned to the center. And when you're building UIs, you want to make sure that things are aligned properly and everything on the page is done with great intent. You understand? When everything on the page is done with great intent, and this is just there on its own, aligned to nothing yet, isn't centered properly. So we hit alternate H, center it, and boom. Doesn't that look more elegant? This is what happens when you have consistency in your design, and the other layouts which one of you created is what happens when you don't. So you see, consistency is what makes good UIs feel intuitive. So if your UI feels weird, check for inconsistencies with the typography, the layout composition, the color, movement, or the details. Inconsistency is always the culprit. Now, yeah, if you found this video helpful, then you'll love the next one. We'll be going over 3 UI mistakes developers keep making that break their layouts. Now, I'm not telling you what to do, but it'll probably be a good idea for you to subscribe so you don't miss it. Don't you think?